How similar is UCLA defensively to Utah?
Good question. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. I mean, I've seen them a little bit on film. I know that their guys stand up a lot and they move around and they give a lot of different looks up front. They play a lot of man, but that's about it. I think Utah's more like true 4 down. And, they'll blitz out of the 4 down look, but I think maybe UCLA is more exotic.
They're very physical and talented at the point.
Defensively?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they look really good. They got some good personnel. Yeah.
What are your guys' preparations so far this week, trying to deal with the elite rush attack once again in UCLA?
Yeah, I mean they do a great job on offense. Obviously, their offensive staff, they have a great reputation, and we're just focusing on the fundamentals this week. I mean, a lot of things that broke down last week, just trying to clean those things up and really trying to get our guys back to which they had up to Washington State. They'd responded to adversity all year, and they strained, and they really focused on doing their 111th and being consistently good and not big play hunting. And last week we kind of unraveled at times, and just getting our guys back to just what our defensive culture is and what we're about.
And did you feel yesterday and today that the team really responded in terms of that renewed focus and really cleaning up what needed to be cleaned up?
Yeah, I think we did. I think shaking off just the doldrums of our performance on Saturday. It took a minute yesterday, but we finished practice really well, and then we had a very good practice today.
How difficult is it to bounce back from kind of what happened?
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, and really it's a learning experience. And the older you get, you start understanding that, hey, I've been here before. I know how to respond to it. And for these guys, as players, a lot of these guys have been in this situation before. They know the only way to respond to it is keep pushing. And
what were some of those learning lessons you guys had kind of coming in and focusing on these last 2 days?
Yeah, I mean, like it's just a kind of a tale of two defenses. I mean, we were the defense the first 8 games that we fought and we really executed, and everybody focused on doing their 111th, and there was a fear of screwing up. They didn't want to let the guy down next to him. There was an edge to them that helped their preparation during the week, and coming off a big win that we did the prior week. It's really a lesson. It's really a lesson in learning how to win. And so our guys get a big win the following weeks. Hey, how do we handle winning? Do we move on from it and focus on the next game? And really teaching, that's the process to becoming a consistent winner. So it's part of the learning process. And you go up to a team, like we played last week up at their place, who's coming off their worst home loss in 15 years or whatever it was, and 2-time defending Pac-12 champions. There's a lot of experience on that team. That was a hungry football team, and things just broke down little by little last week, and it's just sometimes as a coordinator and as a football coach, you feel like a ship captain, out in the ocean. You know what I mean? Like you can have everything dialed in and manage your process and not change what you do and your weekly approach to things. But it's still the ocean, and really coaching it a lot of times when you're working with these young men. I mean, there's other things that they got to deal with too off the field and in their personal lives, and then injuries on the field and in practice and personalities and all those things. And you got to manage all those things. You got to constantly have a finger on them. So it was a learning lesson for us, and it's time for us to bounce back this week and be who we are.
To piggyback off that, Coach, because there were some plays where it seemed like, defensively they were kind of getting to the run with. Did you throughout the game maybe kind of sense the defensive line's frustration? And yeah, they're not, like you said, making the plays because there's some wide open run plays, and then all of a sudden, there are a few run plays that got shut down. What was a tough, balancing act for you coaching them up during the game?
It was crazy just looking back at the game itself. If you looked at the number of runs that they had, I think they had 49 carries or something crazy. Half their runs were for 2 yards or less or something like that. So, we executed. And all execution is the inside guys being physical when they got a single team and keeping their hat in a gap. Our edges playing cut to keep when we're playing the run and spilling when they need to. Or from our back end, our linebackers staying off the line of scrimmage until they see it clear and getting in their fit. To the safeties, when we're fitting inside, stay off the line of scrimmage, don't bury yourself, and just track the football. And if all those things didn't happen, you're against a good enough team that you really you don't have a mismatch somewhere where you're just going to have one guy just completely dominate the guy in front of him. So really that's the type of game that if you play a super disciplined offense, you got to be super disciplined on defense. And I think our guys early were pressing, and I think they started to want to make some plays, and we continued to coach the same thing. You can't change your message, and there's two pains in life, right? The pain of discipline, the pain of regret, and sometimes the pain of regret is where you're going to learn the most. And I just feel like, our guys are going to get back to doing what we do. There's going to be a sense of urgency. There's going to be a little bit of, there's going to be the fear of letting the guy next to you down.
How's it feel to have your contract extension done even before your first season here ends? What does that say about the commitment to what they're doing?
Yeah, I really think it says that our administration knows what they're doing, and that they're moving forward and understanding what it's going to take and what it's going to take to be successful. Consistency is the biggest thing that's going to lead to success in the end, really in anything you do, right? And if you're constantly changing, you're constantly moving, you're constantly looking for new answers, nothing's ever going to be perfect, okay? Especially when you're building. And obviously you want it to be perfect. You can continue to refine the process and try to come up with better answers, but you're not going to change those principles. And me extending for this long and my commitment to this football team and this program, it really says a lot about Arizona State and the decision makers.
You're facing another good running game this week. How does UCLA differ from Utah?
They're very similar. There's not a whole lot in terms of schematically. The only thing that's a little different, at least going in, was the quarterback running, which Utah really hadn't shown a lot of going in. They'd shown it a little bit, especially with Barnes, and they'd done it with Rising, but Rising was more of a scrambler, and they'd run him when they needed for him to score touchdowns in the red zone. But no, they're very, very similar in terms of the run game, and it's going to be good. It's going to be a good challenge for us, to show, hey, really what we are this weekend.
What's your perspective on the influence that Chip Kelly's had as an innovator?
That's a great question. I will tell you, it's funny. I was telling Marvin, I was just, because I know that he knows Chip really well. I don't know Chip, but I know a couple guys on their staff. He does probably the best job that I've ever seen in terms of being able to package his offense different every week. Like, no matter what we're planning for formationally, they're going to show something completely different, which means our system is going to have to rest on its rules. That's where our challenge is going to be. It's not going to be that they're scheming up the run game. It's going to be coming out of different looks every single week. And when we're going into the 10th week of the season and they had 9 games, they're not going to show one look, that they've shown before, or they're going to just add little wrinkles. If everything comes out of 2x2, they're going to show it in stacks one week. The next week, they're going to show it. They're going to go from 3x1 to 2x2. They're going to go 2x2, then they're going to, motion the back out, or they're going to start off an empty and motion the back. They're just always going to run really their offense out of different pictures. So they're basically saying to themselves, you're not going to get a chance to practice those pictures every week. And you can tell it's a system in what they do, and so it's very similar, basically mirrored in terms of our philosophies.
Coach, there's been we're unsure who the QB is going to be this week for UCLA, but if it is Dante, what have you seen from Dante that's made him so good this year?
Just incredible arm talent. He can run the football as well when he needs to, and he's able to escape and extend plays.
Coach, how do you game plan for all the different looks that UCLA is going to give you this week?
Yeah, we're just we're going to basically just do what we do, and we're going to come up with a couple wrinkles based on which quarterback is in, and but we're not going to get away with what we're doing. We're 10 weeks into the season, and last week showed you that we're running the same defense with the same calls against an opponent that we felt like we matched up against really well, and we just didn't execute. It really comes down to execution. So if I start changing things, or it's what I was just talking about, consistency. Sometimes it's always going to be building, and sometimes it takes a valley for you to get stronger to climb the next mountain. So that's where we're at. UCLA is our next challenge.